Hey everybody, this is Pam Pryor, your first CFO, back again with more tips and tricks about turning finance and accounting from the enemy into your storytelling friend. So we do that through a couple of ways. One is I come to you as often as I can here to drop tips and tricks for you to put in place in your own business. But there's also a book you can sit down and read in probably about 2 hours that will give you a ton of information about how to set things up so that your numbers are less frustrating and tell you a story. And it's called Your First CFO. My dogs are about to come in, so I warn you, it could get a little loud in here, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going. The second way you can continue to get more and more information on finance in your business and making it a story and your best friend is through the Cash Flow podcast, which is now available on iTunes. And the 5th episode has been dropped. So there are now 5 full episodes that'll help you get a handle on figuring out how to really make a story out of your numbers. And these aren't boring accounting lectures. These are fun and engaging tips and tricks and stories and tales of my clients and tales of my own life that have that help to really define and create something that we can use to help entrepreneurs fall in love with their numbers for the first time or again, depending on where they sit. So yesterday we talked a little bit about the fact that what your numbers should tell a story. There's no question about that. If your numbers aren't telling you a story, then they're a waste of time and you're wasting your money on having them created. Because finance and accounting don't exist just to be finance and accounting. They exist to help a business owner tell a story about their business or understand a story about their business. And when I diving into yesterday and today, one of the things that really makes that happen, makes that transition for business owners from I'm just getting a bunch of stuff that makes no sense to me, but I know I need to look at it, so I'm going to look at it and say, yep, it looks good, to, hey, I just got something that tells me a story that's going to help me make better decisions in my business. And I'm here to tell you that that level of understanding with your financials is available to everybody. That's not exclusively the domain of Fortune 500 companies. That's not even exclusively the domain of successful 10-figure, 9-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs. That's accessible to every single entrepreneur and business person who is taking in revenue and spending money to serve clients. And I'm here to get that message out to as many of you as I can, that level of service is available. So we're talking about context yesterday and today. And yesterday we talked about the context of time. And a very simple change you can make in your relationship with your bookkeeper is to call them and say, hey, I don't just want my financial report for March. I want you to send me a financial report on one page that shows me the key numbers I need to know about my business, but in 12 columns, one for each of the months leading up to March, and March included. So that way you're seeing your numbers in the context of time. And here's where it turns from just a page full of numbers into a story. You can say things like, oh, I don't make any sales in January and February. Maybe I should ratchet up my marketing then, or maybe I should shut down some of my expenses during that time period. Or it says, wow, my sales have really been growing rapidly in the last 3 months. What am I doing right? Let's make sure I do more of that. Or you can say, geez, my expenses are creeping up on me a little bit. I may need to find out what's going on there. But it turns it from a sheet full of numbers into a story. And the book tells you, and I will talk about and continue to talk about on Facebook Lives and on the podcast, how you can look at those numbers and make some really intelligent and forward-looking decisions that if you didn't have them, not only couldn't you make those decisions, but you might not even know what's coming or what's happening in your business. So that we covered yesterday was the context of time. The other big piece that can make numbers meaningful and bring them into context is comparing them against, and I'll call it benchmarks for lack of a better term. If you've been in business for a while and you're doing things on the internet, you probably have benchmarks around how many leads you get per ad, what your cost per click is, various other things. Everybody measures something, right? And whatever you're measuring, the only way it's meaningful is if you know what you expected, because then you're comparing what actually happened against what you expected. And that's really what we're talking about. So without using the dreaded words that everybody hates to hear, they start with B and with F, ironically, but not what you think. I'll let you know it's budget and forecast. Without even using those words, if you simply said, hey, based on how many customers I have and what I'm selling my product for, I expect to see this much revenue. And based on all of the expenses I have in my business, I expect to spend this much to get that revenue. And then at the end of the month, you say, hey, I expected $100 in revenue and I expected $50 in expenses. And at the end of the month, you just say, what did I actually have? I actually had $150 in revenue and $70 in expenses. And just that small addition of having a benchmark that you're comparing against to give those month-end numbers context means that you've now got a story to tell. You can now sit there and say, hey, I did better than I expected in revenue. What did I do so that I can do that right again? Or, geez, I did worse than I expected in expenses. Oh, but wait, I got more revenue. So it's good that I spent a little bit more money to get a lot more revenue. And you can start to see those stories unwind in these numbers if you simply say, let's start with, here's the B word or F word. Let's start with a budget. Let's start with a forecast. God bless you, dear puppy. Let's start with a budget or a forecast so that we can set an expectation and then see what our numbers look like compared to that expectation. So that's the second way to start to pull story out of your numbers and put them in context. So you're just not getting a sheet of numbers once a month and going, yikes, as my friend Norris said, if the net income number looks good, you have a beer. If the net income number looks bad, you have a beer. Let's make it a lot more than that for you. Hang on with me in these Facebook Lives. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, Cash Flow. Best way to look it up on iTunes is under Pam Pryor so that we can make sure you get as many of these tips and tricks as you can in as entertaining a fashion as I can give them, which sometimes is great. Some good stories hiding in those cash flow podcasts, also in the book, so feel free to grab that as well. In fact, PM me or leave a comment here if you'd actually like a copy of the book, because right now I do still have the ability to give those away for free, and I want to do that as much as I can because it's a quick read. You can get through this thing in a couple hours, honestly. Do it over a glass of wine, and it's even easier. And then if you've got questions and stuff, you can follow up with me, and there are a couple of good tools that can help you kind of work through some of these things painlessly. So that's what we're here for, and I love coming to you and talking to you every day about it. So I hope you've had a great week and are looking forward to a good weekend, and I will talk to you again in short order. Take care from your first CFO.